Hey fellas, how you doing? It's Johnny. I wanted to do this video in a different format. As I've said in some of my other videos, I follow my feelings sometimes, and it doesn't feel right to do this video as an advice video. For me to call this video an advice video would feel, it'd almost feel like an insult. So I wanted to do almost like a webinar. So I'm going to prepare you. This video is going to be longer. I know some of you say make the video shorter. Well, sometimes I can't, because what I need to say, I can't say it in 5 or 10 minutes. It just wouldn't work that way. Some videos I can do it in that format. So just to prepare you, this is going to be a powerful video, and probably watch this video when you've got time and you can concentrate. So what I've done is I've made a few notes in my phone, and I've just kind of got a collection of thoughts, knowledge, energy, and I'm going to convert that over. So what I'm going to be talking about today in this webinar, it's not a live webinar, because by the time you watch it, I'm going to be talking about how to overcome social anxiety and how to love yourself 100%. I've used 100% because it's certain, this advice, you've got to apply it. And within that is how to overcome addictions, and the secret to attracting honest women, or an honest woman. So I'm going to mix all these into a pot, and I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to teach you, because that is my job. I'm a teacher. I'm going to teach you. I'm going to mentor you. And obviously it's great I can say that because it's not being forced on you. You've got a right not to watch the video. So if you don't want to learn what I'm teaching, you can jump off. If you want to learn it, and it's where you're at, and you've got social anxiety, or you're working through anxiety, life anxiety, anxiety with people, stay on the video. So I guess the best way to start would be to tell you about my story, my journey. If you've heard it before, great. Maybe today you're going to hear it in a different angle. There's so many events that's happened in my life. So I'm going to start with, going to take my jacket off, get a bit comfortable. It's a lovely spot. So for me, the first thing is, I guess, I suffered from social anxiety for many years of my life. Social anxiety is a people phobia. I was afraid of people. Sounds ironic, sounds crazy to say that. Every time I say it, it sounds like that. But I was afraid of people because my dad was hard on me growing up. My dad terrified me and frightened me, and for many years I didn't want to speak about it. I didn't want to tell anyone about it because, number one, I didn't want to feel like I was going behind my dad's back and kind of being disloyal to my dad. Number two, I felt really ashamed that I'd had a dad who was abusive towards me, who was violent towards me, hit me whenever he felt like it, or whenever he felt that I was disobeying him, through the ages of sort of, from as far as I can remember, sort of 14, 15, 16, 17, that sort of teenage growing up, when you're still quite vulnerable. Your identity isn't quite cemented yet, so you're at a very vulnerable age. So I didn't want to talk about it because it made me feel dirty. Because the abuse that I underwent, and this is common in psychology, when you go through abuse at the time, even someone giving you a kicking or fighting or being called names, that's hurtful. But I've found in my own experience what's more hurtful is the effects it has on you after in life. Hence why I was had social anxiety with people, because you feel ashamed to be around people because you feel dirty and you don't feel good enough. And for me personally, it affects people in different ways. It made me very, very violent, so it was dangerous for me to be around people. I didn't trust myself, and I didn't trust people, and I was afraid that if people were to upset me, were to push me too far, I would lose my temper. And I know it sounds horrible to say it, but I would lash out and be violent towards them. And I did do this, many times I did do it. But it's interesting, the complexity within my fears and my personality because of the abuse I underwent with my dad. And that was all a representation of the relationship that I had with my dad, which was a relationship that was based on fear. I was afraid of him, he knew I was afraid of him. It seemed that he enjoyed having that power over me because he was afraid to let go of that power, because it would make him feel vulnerable. But within that relationship, he was also very good, very kind to me. So obviously I was in a state of confusion. And I think confusion is probably, for me, and maybe many people that have suffered social anxiety, one of the most painful places to be at, because you don't know where you stand. It's really difficult when you don't know whether to be kind to yourself, you don't know whether to be horrible to yourself, you don't know whether to treat people nice, you don't know whether to be nasty to protect yourself. So you're in this kind of painful place. And of course, like, you know, like every experience, it has its positives and it has its negatives. So when my dad was nice, my reality reflected that. I felt good, I felt nice, people seemed nice, and everything in my life seemed to go accordingly. When he was horrible to me, I felt like nothing. I felt dirty, I felt angry, I felt self-hate, I felt hate towards other people, I felt hate towards life, and I couldn't trust anything. And these feelings manifested into my personality, or personalities rather, very commonly known in psychology and Freudian psychology. We develop multiple personalities to protect ourselves from the abuse, the incidents that happen, and the further abuse that carries out, which is the shame that you carry. And you can literally feel, shame as almost like a separate personality. So it's like there's a guy in me and he's called ashamed, and there's another guy in me and he's called self-hate, and there's another guy in me, he's called paranoia, and there's another guy in me and he's called I don't trust anyone. So you've got all these personalities inside your body, running your body, and you feel like you can't really control them. But underneath all these personalities, there is a true self. There is an authentic self that is, it's hard for me to describe the words, because it's going to sound like I'm just using words that other people have used, but I suppose the best way to describe the word would be love. Love would summon up this person. There's an all-loving, authentic self. I can even change that word for a second to suit what words? I could change that word to God. That word would sum up this feeling. Or I could even change that word again to language to a different audience, which is just people with different beliefs, but maybe have gone through the same anxiety and abuse, which would be self-confidence. That word feels right for now, although love feels like the truth of what I'm getting at. But there's a self-confidence there. There is a man there who is self-assured, who is self-confident, who trusts himself, who trusts other people, who's kind, who's honest. He's not a people pleaser, and he's not afraid of anyone. He's not afraid of anyone because he doesn't need to be afraid of anyone, and he's not violent as well. He's not violent, he's not a bully, and he doesn't need to you know, bully other people to get self-control. So, like I said, there's all these personalities, and they've all developed as a consequence of the abuse that you've undergone. Now, interestingly enough, it's not just the abuse that I underwent with my dad, it's actually the experiences that I had in school. Because I went into school with a mentality, excuse my language, it's passion, I'm half Irish, that I'm not going to let anyone fuck around with me. Because my dad bullied me at home, and my dad also protected me. My dad prepared me for a world of bullies, because he was doing the best that he thought he could do. And there was some truth in that, there was some truth, but it wasn't entirely the truth. Hence why my life at the time was chaotic and sometimes very nice. Like a stream in a water flow, whatever you want to call it, ups and downs, tides, and then some calm. So my dad did the best with what he had. So I'm very grateful for that, and I'll come to that in a second. So going to school, I was taken over by these other personalities, which was, I forgot to mention, jealousy, an incredibly jealous young man, because obviously fear is jealousy, and the most harmful one was I was afraid. I was scared of being bullied, and it made me very, very shy and introverted, and I was ashamed of my own voice. I couldn't even hardly speak, because to me my voice sounded pathetic, weak, and it sounded like it couldn't be loved, like people would take the piss out of me. So when I did speak, because I was projecting my own insecurity, quite often or not, other people who were maybe insecure seemed to latch onto that insecurity. They could read it, feel it, project their own insecurity onto me, and it would cause a fight. And that's why I could never understand at the time why I seem to get picked on the most at school. But looking back, there's a bit of a sob story there. I was quite lucky because there were other kids that got really bullied. So I got bullied at school. I became a bully to protect myself from getting bullied. I became very violent. I seen violence as a way out of being judged by people and being controlled. Every time I was violent, I got respect in school because the bullies thought, fucking hell, don't go near Jonathan, because Jonathan is, he's a madman, he's a proper nutter. And then they would leave me alone and they would actually be nice to me. So I developed a fine part of my psychology that the only way to get respect from people is to be aggressive and a bully, and then they'll respect you back. But that was later challenged and disproved by other relationships I had with people that are really nice, became really good friends with, and we didn't have to use fear to, you know, have a relationship with one another. And that was also represented with the relationship I had with my mum, with other family members, and some of the relationship with my dad. I hope I'm not confusing you. So this is why I had social anxiety at the time, and it continued out through all up to my 20s. And I didn't know that, you know, I didn't know that I was able to get help, because I thought getting help would be weak. And I thought I was the only one in the whole world that had undergone abuse from a parent, was ashamed about it, was angry about it, didn't know how to express it, couldn't get help, and that was affecting my personal relationships. So that's kind of the real brutal honesty about my story and how my social anxiety was developed. Now, along with social anxiety, notice in the title I've said how to overcome social anxiety and love yourself 100%. I didn't love myself, and I had no idea on a conscious level. I would have thought this is the most ridiculous thing to even consider. Why would you even question whether you love yourself? But I didn't realise that I was always seeking, oh sorry, my legs are, I have to change here. Remember this, glad we did a webinar, I'm gonna sit here. So, get my jacket on because it's getting cold. Remember, this is a webinar, everything goes. So, the camera's just got out, so I've had to, excuse me, back to the webinar. So as I said, you can hear the diagnosis of how my social anxiety was developed. Why, when I was younger, I was violent and I kept getting into fights with people. And I had lots of issues around trust and relationships. I went through lots of jealousy, lots of self-hate. Like I said in this title was promised, this was all because I didn't love myself, and I didn't realise how important self-esteem is. And obviously, when we grow up and we're a kid, we don't have a choice. You know, from the ages, according to psychology, from sort of 1 to 6, 1 to 7, Freudian psychology, this is the age when it's crucial for our development, the way we emphasise love. Now, interestingly enough, and I'm very grateful for this, I'm very grateful to my mum and my dad and my family, I was actually very loving towards other people, but I really struggled to love me. Now, that was demonstrated in the affection I had for my mum, for my family, occasionally my dad, because if I'm being honest at the time, I didn't like him. It's not comfortable to say that, it's difficult, but it's the truth, and I need to put the truth out and to talk to other people who may be going through the same thing. But I found it very difficult to like myself, and I was always in conflict. I've later learned, now getting into my earlier 30s, that all of our problems, if not most of them, come from the fact that we either don't fully love ourselves 100%, or we have a very hard time loving ourselves because we have not addressed past issues and traumas, which is why my teaching on my 6 weeks program and all my work, my videos, my articles, is about teaching men how to love themselves, because I've had to go through this journey myself and overcome childhood abuse, trauma, low self-esteem, addictions, dishonesty, and change my life, which I have. So, where have I gone? Give me a second. Got a bit tired now. I told you I'm going to keep this video authentic. This is a bit of a webinar. It's a powerful video though, so it's taken a lot out of me. Have a bit of a rest. Body's got a lot of resistance to do this. Lots of my old selves that I've killed, they seem to be rising to the surface. They're trying to stop me from doing this video, but I'm not going to stop. I'm going to put the video out because I know how important it is. It will change people's lives, and that makes me feel good to do that. Selfishly, that makes me feel good that my story, my honesty, Even if it's not comfortable for some people, it would change people's lives, because this is what I teach every week, and I see the facts, I see the proof in how it changes people's lives, and it's changing my life. But I'm going a bit dizzy. This is spiritual. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Love is the answer. I've read many articles and blogs online, I'm sorry. It's not fully the truth. I think people sometimes, they teach stuff from where they're at in their own knowledge. And I'm not saying it's dishonest, I'm just saying that being a sufferer of social anxiety and abuse and low self-esteem, the 5 ways to go up and say hello to someone, that's the great start. But it's really this work, it's the brutal honesty, it's the therapy, it's the counselling, it's the spiritual cleaning that transforms one's life and heals one. So I'm gonna talk about how to love yourself 100%, because it's something I struggled with for many years, and I know a lot of people struggle. Honesty. We have to be honest in our lives. I was not honest in my relationship with my dad at the time because I allowed him to bully me. I was not honest entirely with the friends I had because I allowed relationships that I had with people, I allowed them to bully me. I had no personal boundaries. Or sometimes, because of my lack of personal boundaries and self-esteem, I was too extreme. I was completely violent, and then that would scare the hell out of people. And it's not comfortable for me to say, but years ago my friends were afraid of me. I knew they was afraid of me. I knew that these relationships were going on, but I kind of allowed this horrific relationships to carry out, because this is how my relationship was with my father. It was a relationship based on fear, so it actually projected into my relationships with my friends. I didn't feel good about it. I didn't want my friends to be afraid of me because I knew that they didn't really respect me and love me, and I would feel the same way. So I later learned I don't want relationships where men are afraid of me, because I know how it feels to be afraid of men, because I was afraid of my dad. And it's not nice. It's not a nice place to be at. It's actually heartbreaking. It's actually heartbreaking to think that I've got to keep a relationship going based on fear. There's no love there, so it's not real, and it's not good. That's why violence isn't the answer. And I've tried violence, and obviously it didn't work. And I tried violence in relationships with women, and I don't mean that literally in the fact of going out and hitting women. I mean that I allowed women to abuse me and to not respect me, and I had no personal boundaries because I was afraid of women. Of course, if you're afraid of yourself, you're going to be afraid of people. So it's interesting that so many men I work with, and I coach on a 6 weeks program, because they've gone through a similar abuse in their childhood, they're afraid of women. And that can also make them fiery, it can make them aggressive, and then they feel bad about it, and then women end up leaving them, or they end up cheating on women. And that's what happened to me. I became a liar and a cheat. That's so uncomfortable for me to admit that on live on a YouTube video, but it's necessary for me to do it, because I felt I have to do this today. I have to do this for me, and I have to do it for you guys. So I became a liar and a cheat, and I didn't like it. I did not want to be a liar and a cheat, and I lived in the reality every single day of being a liar and a cheat, and it was absolutely soul destroying, and sometimes it would reduce me to tears. I would be crying. And then and you got to remember, I grew up in an area, I grew up in a council estate where men don't you're not allowed to cry if you're a man, and that's how my dad brought me up. So all that suppressing of emotions builds up, clogs up, it's energy, and it makes you lash out at people. So when you get pushed to the edge, if someone is antagonizing you or just challenging you, and even if they're not being horrible, they're just, you know, they're just talking to you, you flip. And that's why for many years it was painful for me to be around people. It physically hurt me to go into the shop, buy a loaf of bread and have eye contact with a shop owner, because I was damaged. I was damaged, I was hurt, I was angry, and I felt abandoned. I didn't feel loved, I didn't trust people. I didn't know how to love myself. But then I went on a journey. I went on a path to healing. And it's interesting because consciously I didn't know that I was doing it, because I was afraid to always tell people. I thought, if I tell the world about all these fears and these deep, dark insecurities, I will be cut off from the universe, from God, from the whole world. I'll be abandoned. But there's a deep part of me, like I spoke about earlier, an authentic self, the self-confident self that knew that is not possible. And I told this to my friend the other day that I've been working with on my 6 weeks program. Sorry, 12 weeks. He's doing a second run. Life-changing changes that he's made. And he won't mind me saying this because I got his permission the other day. And I said to Nick, when you connect to your authentic self, you cannot be abandoned by anyone, and it's just not possible. And you know that already. I'm just telling you what you know. And he looked at me and he nodded, he knew. And we all know, don't we? I'm talking to all of you. We all know that when we connect to our true authentic self, we don't need to use violence on people, and we don't allow people to disrespect us, and we don't allow our addictions to rule us. And we have a life based on honesty, truth and love, and then we have no social anxiety. That's the cure. So love is the cure to social anxiety. Self-confidence is the cure to social anxiety. Self-respect, respecting the self, appreciating the self is the cure to social anxiety, and facing your fear. So I overcome my social anxiety by facing my darkest fear. I faced my dad, and I faced him months ago, and in the midst of facing my dad, I approached 3,000 women on the street. What's 3,000 women got to do with facing my dad, facing social anxiety? Because everything's connected, and I know you've heard that before. Problem with the self, problem with people. Problem with the self, problem with meeting the right woman. Problem with the self, problem with making money. Problem with the self, problem with family. How powerful is that? So I thought, wow, isn't that amazing? And this is what God said to me. However we define that. And I'm fine with however you define God. Let's call it love or self-confidence. The deeper aspects of myself. It said, stop fucking around, Johnny. Stop bullshitting. Stop letting these false friends take advantage of you because you feel that you can't get love somewhere else. Cut the relationships off, they're not good. But cut the relationship off in yourself, and you'll naturally push people away that are not good for you. And you'll naturally attract the right people that are for you. And you'll naturally stop that relationship with your dad that's based on fear, and you'll develop a relationship that's based on love through honesty. Honesty is easy. I'm doing it right now. It's not comfortable for me to do this video, but look at me, I'm enjoying it. It connects me and it's good. And it's just come to me now. That's why so many of us, so many of you struggle with your anxieties, because we know the answer, we know it's truth, we know we don't need a guru. We know that we don't really need to listen to anyone but ourselves, but we need the courage. We need the courage to tell the truth and be honest. And I think there's always a part of us that feels if we go towards being honest, we're going to be attacked, we're going to be harmed, but if we do it in the right way, nothing happens. I went into my house, spoke to my dad, and I brought God into my house, and I brought love and honesty, but I brought integrity, self-respect. No violence was happening, because I used to get fears that I'm going to get into a punch-up with my dad and my mum is going to come running down screaming, and I didn't want that to happen because I love my dad and I love my family, and most importantly I love myself. So all healing, self-healing. That's what I'm doing for you guys now. I'm healing me and I'm healing you. And if people say stuff like, calm down Johnny, if people say teachers just teach because it selfishly helps them, of course, how else? If I can't love me, how can I love you guys? How could I be such a good teacher on my 6 weeks program? I'm just being honest. How could I give you what I don't have? That's why for so many years when I was looking for teachers, I couldn't find the answers, because I realised that the teachers hadn't found the truth themselves. So how can they give it to me? And I'm not judging them or attacking them, I'm telling the truth. It didn't mean that they've got nothing to offer, but they still hadn't looked at their pain. I could tell, I could sense it, I knew it. It takes one to know one. But I found other teachers who had looked at their pain, who had got the truth, and I learnt from them. So often or not, we blame our teachers. We blame our teachers for our own lack of responsibility and self-esteem. So we blame our teachers. I've done it myself in the past, but guess what? This is what's exciting for me. when we're honest, or we're on the path to being honest, doesn't mean perfect, so get perfect out of your head, because I can feel right now, some of you are getting voices coming up in your head saying, I've got to be perfect. When we start becoming more honest, we will attract honest teachers. That's why you've attracted me now. You're watching my video because of the law of attraction, you're in the right vibration, or you're on the path to overcoming your social anxiety and loving yourself 100%. No doubt in my mind. And I've attracted you as well, it's mutual. So Alan Watts, Les Brown, Jeff, my dad, you guys, my old story, my new story, honest teachers. Notice how I said my dad, contradiction. Because I forgave my dad. Because I love my dad. Because I love myself. It wasn't easy, but I done it. And the great teachers like Jeff, like Alan Watts, like Les Brown, there's many others, I've mentioned them before, they appeared to me when I was ready. But sometimes a teacher comes, talks to us, but we're not ready. We're not ready to hear the truth because we're lying and cheating, but that's okay as well. This video is not about making you feel bad or judging you. This video is about making you feel good about yourself. This video is about loving yourself 100%. I didn't plan this video. I didn't need to plan this video. I didn't need to sit at home and write down an essay about how to do a video and get likes on YouTube. I'm not interested in likes on YouTube. Hear my words. I'm not interested in likes on YouTube, although I do appreciate it. I'm not interested in subscribers. I'm interested in telling my truth and helping and healing other people. I was going to say men, anyone, men and women who have suffered from this painful, agonizing, uncomfortable, embarrassing, shameful, lonely, soul-destroying, angry, hateful, beautiful, all-loving, all-knowing, all-appreciating, comfortable, powerful, social anxiety. That's why I do these videos. So I gave you the formula. I taught you in this video, and I taught myself how to love yourself 100%. I'll say it again, because when you're a teacher, especially in today's world, in the culture that we live in, we want a method. We want 50,000 ways to get the truth. One way. One way. Honesty. But then you ask the question, I feel it now, I feel it. But how? How do I be honest? It's difficult. I know it's difficult, honesty. But what do I say? Where do I start? Honesty. But what if I run out of things to say? What if I look stupid? Honesty. But what if I can't make eye contact because I'm embarrassed? Honesty. But what if I never find a woman who loves me? Honesty. What if I can't make money and I just be poor? Honesty. What if I'm ashamed to tell people about my story because there's so much dishonesty in my life and I've never really been an honest person? Honesty, come to the truth. I'm getting pins and needles. That's my truth, honesty. A lot of bullshit to get there, a lot of lying and cheating. Sorry, I'm gonna have to stand. I'm gonna have to roll this webinar because I've got pins and needles. A lot of lying and cheating because at the time didn't know how to love myself 100%. Gotta tell it, it's not comfortable. A lot of paying prostitutes for sex. A lot of bad relationships with people that didn't really love me, didn't really respect me, because that's how I felt about myself. Struggling with money all the time. Struggling with the story. Struggling to see my own ability in the world, which I knew I had. Struggling to look myself in the mirror and love myself and make eye contact and say, I am enough. I've got every potentiality of every man. Struggling to be honest with my family. Struggling to appreciate the good things that they did for me, because they've done many. What a great mum I had. I know you guys have had a great mum or great dad. Great father as well. I wasn't happy with what my dad did, but he done many good things. So I had to start appreciating them and recognising them. Recognising that no one's perfect, because we blame out often about how everyone is cheating and lying, but we don't like looking at that ourselves. Lots of cheating and lying with women, because the voice says you're not good enough. Final solution has come to me. We have to lose everything to love ourselves 100%. What do I mean by that? We have to kill this demon that bullies us. We have to kill this false self. The self that's jealous, violent, people-pleasing, cheats and lies in his relationships with women, with his friends. We have to kill that self gradually, not in one day. You don't do it in one day. That's why I spend 6 weeks with people, my 6 weeks program, sometimes 12. It's worth it. However long it takes. Social anxiety is not in the people, it's in the self, it's in the mind. It's psychological fear. The decisions we make determine how much we love ourselves. I'll give you an example. I'm going to quickly touch on addictions. I'm just talking here, this is about no one, but it's the truth in my life and in many people that I've mentored, and I hear the similar story over and over again. You're by yourself. You're feeling depressed, you feel anxious. You get a phone call from a friend. Relationship is not entirely honest, and he calls you up and says, hey man, what are you up to? Come out. And he says, let's go grab drinks, and let's go pick women up, or let's go take drugs. You get an awful feeling in your stomach, an awful feeling comes up, and you think, oh, it's not good. It's the true self. Remember the self I talked about at the start? The love to God, the self-confidence, self-respect, loving yourself 100%. And all the other personalities, jealousy and anger, you go, let's do it. You go and drink alcohol, and you indulge in drugs, prostitutes, or picking up different women, cheating, and all sorts of dishonesty, and you feel rubbish the next day, the social anxiety's back. That's not loving yourself 100%. Another example, phone call. How you doing? How you doing? I'm doing great. Do you want to come out and go for a drink? I'm gonna have to say no. Huh? How comes? You always come for a drink. I know, but I know who I am. I've changed. I'm being myself. Loving the self 100%. I'm not doing it. I've got a sneaky feeling, because I'm very intuitive. I've been teaching for many years. I help lots of men with social anxiety and lack of belief and self-confidence and self-love. We're afraid to say no in case people judge us. I've had many students say, I don't like social confrontation, I didn't like it. We've got to get comfortable, we've got to come to the honest truth. And you don't be violent, be calm. A few months later, new phone call, new friend, or better friends. Hey man, I'm just going to use the word David. I always say David, maybe it's from the Bible, it's just come to me. Hey David, how you doing? Do you want to come out? Yeah man, let's go for dinner, let's go for the park, let's go to nature, let's go watch a film, let's grab a tea, let's do some filming for our YouTube channel. Yeah, let's do it. Or I wanted to meet my girlfriend and bring your girlfriend along. Or let's have a coffee, or let's have some food, or let's go and do something creative. Let's make a film, or let's just be in a place of love. Now you've made the change. Now you're starting to be in the right place to attract the right people. There's a part of you that feels you don't deserve that. That would be getting above your station, because it was the same for me growing up in my area. I felt like if I'm ambitious, people are going to think that I've become a snob and all this other stuff, but it's not true. Everyone's got 24 hours in a day. If people don't want to join you and follow you, that's not your problem. If you are a good friend, you want to see good for your friend. When you start loving yourself 100%, you want to start loving others. The jealousy starts to reduce, starts to go down. The self-hate starts to go away. The feeling of violence and that you want to rip someone's head off and hurt yourself starts going away because you've got self-confidence. What a lovely word. And you deserve it. You've got a right. Then you forgive the abuser who abused you. Your mum, your dad, your sister, your brother, the guy at school, your girlfriend. And then you start to realise anything's possible. Absolutely anything. Thank you for joining my webinar. And that is how you love yourself 100%. And the cure to overcoming social anxiety is honesty. And that's been my truth so far. And this is what I teach on my 6 weeks program. And this is what I teach on the YouTube channel. And oh yeah, last thing, because I did say, sorry, I'm going to make another video about it, never mind. That was it for now. Like and subscribe, enjoy the process. And to read my new articles, because I'm writing a lot of articles about anxiety, social anxiety, personal empowerment, self-confidence, how to attract the right woman, the honest way, go to my website www.johnnyberba.com. And I really appreciate you guys listening. And I know this is going to help you. Love you guys. See you soon. Bye.